This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to the Elevate Construction Podcast, where we help everyone in construction find their cheese. That's from the book, Who Moved My Cheese? I love that book because it talks about change and the difficulty that sometimes we have when things change. And it tells a story of four individuals, two who are quick to deal with change and go after the new location of their cheese, and two other people, him and Ha, who have a rather interesting journey in finding where their cheese has been moved. And it's a really cute little story. And it really is important to me because we all have to realize that this industry, the construction industry in general, moved our cheese. What used to be successful, what we used to want, really isn't what's acceptable anymore. That's been moved. And so podcasts like these and books like The Lean Builder and people like Paul Akers and the Lean Construction Institute, these places are helping us to find the new standard, find who moved our cheese. It's not us that moved the cheese. It's not these institutes. It's not these new trainings, these institutes, these people, these wonderful podcasts, and anything that we learn helps us to find where our cheese has been moved so that we can be successful and set our eyes on a new target and deal with change. I absolutely love that book, Who Moved My Cheese? Anyway, I figured that would be a neat little introduction for today's podcast. I'm Jason Schroeder, and today's podcast is about the 14 principles of the Toyota way. And I gleaned these, well, actually, I didn't glean these. I'm quoting these topics from the book called The Toyota Way by Jeffrey K. Liker. This book is an absolute game changer. And even though it talks in a way that might deal a little bit more with manufacturing, it applies to construction. And again, my desire is to help all of us, especially field folks, superintendents, field engineers, field workers, foremen, to find where the industry has moved their cheese so that we can be successful. So here we go. Please share this podcast with two people that could use it. Please, just right after this, think of, so-and-so and so-and-so could really use this podcast. Please send a link, share it with them, and let's spread the joy, let's spread the vision, let's make sure that we're getting somewhere. Let's jam, let's change this whole industry for the better. Let's get it done. I love it. Anyway, excited. So here's why you will want to listen today. Do you wonder about lean? Have you ever wondered about the definition? Have you heard like so many different definitions and you're like, I'm not really sure what this means. Even when you hear the definition, do you sometimes think, well, what is that? Like, that's kind of how I do things already. Or, have you ever wondered how to implement? Do you ever wonder if lean is kind of like a fad that's maybe, going to have a rise and a decline? Comparing it between like BIM, which has stayed around, wasn't a fad, versus like lead, which wasn't a fad, but it has died down a little bit. Like, do you think that lean's going to do the same thing? If you've ever wondered about these things, and again, I'll say even a little bit, if this resonates even just a little bit, then please listen today. This is going to be good for you. We have answers. You'll want to listen to it over and over and over again. I'm just kidding about that, but it's going to be good stuff. We want to expand the definition of lean beyond just what you hear in the last planner system. Now, to be clear, I have very much appreciated the last planner system, what it has done. And I have found different ways to implement that system successfully on projects and sometimes in adapted ways. But lean isn't just that in construction. Lean goes so far beyond the last planner system, so far beyond the concept of flow. It is this wonderful, huge, new way of doing things. It's actually maybe not even new. If I went through the history, we would take you back so far in the history of lean development, and you would see that it's really the way to do things. And instead of focusing on economies of scale like we do in the United States, we need to focus on economies of time, and we need to focus on flow. So this is going to be a great podcast today. Let me share with you a quote. Having no problems is the biggest problem of all. And that's from Taiichi Ohno, the father of the Toyota production system. Let me say that one more time. It was so good. Having no problems is the biggest problem of all. And the way I take that is that we really need to identify and raise to the surface any of our problems and start to systematically eliminate those problems, fix those problems in a stable environment where in that stability you're able to continuously improve, but that stable environment does not hide problems, it brings problems to the surface. So that really ties into what lean really is all about. If you hear Paul Akers talk about it, it's know the 8 wastes, right? Let them really annoy you, and then go set yourself on a path to fix them constantly, right? Know that you have problems, and then go systematically remove them. So let me tell you a story that will kind of introduce you to this topic today, or maybe not introduce you to the topic, but tell you how important they were for me. So the 14 principles that I want to discuss, I'll just briefly go through them. So it's a long list, so bear with me. I'm going to go through them one by one here in just a minute. But the 14 principles of the Toyota way that Jeffrey K. Liker mentions in his book are: number one, base your management decisions on a long-term philosophy, even at the expense of short-term financial goals. Principle two, create a continuous process flow to bring problems to the surface. Principle three, use pull systems to avoid overproduction. Principle four, level out the workload, work like the tortoise, not the hare. Principle five, build a culture of stopping to fix problems to get quality right the first time. Principle six, standardized tasks and processes are the foundation for continuous improvement and employee empowerment. Principle 7. Use visual controls so no problems are hidden. Principle 8. Use only reliable, thoroughly tested technology that serves your people and process. Principle 9. Grow leaders who thoroughly understand the work, live the philosophy, and teach it to others. Principle 10. Develop exceptional people and teams who follow your company's philosophy. Principle 11. Respect your extended network of partners and suppliers by challenging them and helping them improve. Principle 12. Go and see for yourself to thoroughly understand the situation. Principle 13. Make decisions slowly by consensus, thoroughly considering all opinions. Implement decisions rapidly. Principle 14. Become a learning organization through relentless reflection and continuous improvement. So that really ties back to the quote. Almost everything there in those principles are designed to bring problems to the surface. So let me tell you the quote one more time. Having no problems is the biggest problem of all. So that's really the foundation in my mind of continuous improvement, right? If you respect people, number one, create stable environments, number two, and then continuously improve as you bring problems to the surface, that is lean culture. That's the definition of lean to me in construction. So let me tell you a story. So I read The Toyota Way going to and from Tucson, and these concepts started to change how I thought. You know, in construction, we're taught to batch. We're taught that there should be a worker in every part of the building. Every part of the building should have work going on. We are taught to bring all the materials all at once. We are taught to increase manpower when we have problems. I mean, all of these things hide problems. And I've talked about it before, but the perfect example of this is composite cleanup crews. Have you ever heard of a system that hides waste, that hides problems more than that? I mean, literally, we are paying people and institutionalizing the concept of one person cleaning up and masking the problems of the people that are causing the problem. We do that all the time in construction. It's absolutely amazing what we do. I mean, like, these concepts have just been around for years. And the 14 principles of the Toyota Way are absolutely game changing. They will change the way you think. Everything will start to change from this. So I'm reading this book, and these principles have such an effect on me that the first thought was, how do we get everyone on the team to really buy into this process? We started to change everything about how we were running the project based on these principles. So I asked somebody to help me print out each one of these on 11 by 17. And I hope there weren't any, copyright infringements there, but I print a quote, a principle per 11 by 17, and we laminated them and we put them a principle on both sides of an 11 by 17 laminated, and took little paper clips and hung them from the ceiling so that when you came into the trailer, and we had a 3-wide trailer that we were able to use for our general open office space where we and the trades and everyone did our meetings. We had our desks. It was a big room. And these principles were always there to look at. And I figured they were so important that we needed to see them every day. And it was interesting. I would find myself reading one or two of them every day. And trades in meetings would start to point out to them. And sometimes they would complain. They're like, hey, you need to do like that sign over there that says that we need to work like the tortoise and not the hare. Or, we need to base our management decisions on our long-term goals, not short-term gains. We need to build a culture of stopping to fix things. And they would point to these signs on the ceiling, and it became a part of who we were and how we thought. And it really was an awesome, awesome thing. And I'm going to tell you in this podcast some of the things that we started to do based on these principles. So let me just do a quick shout out. So The Toyota Way is one of the most influential books on lean and how Toyota was able to successfully drive inefficiencies from their processes. These are posts related to the 14 management principles outlined in the book and some examples of how each of the principles can be applied specifically to construction. So let me go through these, and then I want to talk to you about the current state and how you can tailor this to construction. Everyone that talks to me about lean in the construction industry inevitably says, I love these books, Jason, but how do these principles apply to me when they're based off of manufacturing? So we're going to talk today about how they apply to us in construction briefly, but they're pregnant with meaning. They have so much more than just what I'm going to talk about. So I encourage you to read this book. In fact, I'll leave that as a challenge at the end here. So let's start with number 1. Principle 1. Base your management decisions on a long-term philosophy, even at the expense of short-term financial goals. So, you often hear the concept in lean about optimizing the whole. If you have a contractor out there that says, I want to bring out all the duct, or I want to install everything all at once, they're focused on efficiencies, not throughput. They're focused on short-term financial goals, short-term financial gains, but they're not looking at the long-term philosophy of optimizing the project and optimizing the whole. The best thing for every contractor, even in a non-IPD contract environment or contract agreement, you really want your trade partners bought into the concept of making sure that we have flow for everyone, that we're optimizing everyone, that we're bringing out deliveries that will benefit everyone, that we will be clean and steady for everyone. And so I hope this concept really ties you back to some of the previous podcasts of where we say clean and steady. It's not just that we want to be clean. These are the ways that we enable everyone on the project to be successful. Let's go to principle 2. Create a continuous process flow to bring problems to the surface. So if we have a flow and we are intelligently building our exteriors and our structures and our interiors of the building in a flow, not like let's slam it all up to the data date. Let's get it all done as fast as we can. Let's just hurry. If we build it into a flow, then what will come from that, what will interrupt the flow are roadblocks. And I use these definitions this way. A roadblock to me is something that can be removed that will hinder your progress or interrupt your flow. And a constraint is something that you just have to deal with. Constraints are things like I'm building next to railroad tracks, or I'm building in a monsoon season, or I'm right next to a freeway. Constraints are things that you can't do anything about. Roadblocks can be removed. I really think the lean industry is like way off base by calling roadblocks constraints. It doesn't make any sense. Constraints are things that fix you most of the time that can't be changed. Roadblocks can be removed, and it's a perfect analogy for flow, because if you're imagining a train of or a flow of cars or a train or anything coming through, you want to clear the road. You want to remove the roadblocks. Okay, so roadblocks are the things that we need to remove. So if you're working into a continuous flow, you're going to have a trade partner that says, hey, I'm held up here. Hey, this is going to interrupt my flow. Hey, this has caused variation. That's going to bring the problems to the surface. When you intentionally create a flow, those things come forward because people complain that they are out of flow. Then you can fix them so that you can get back into flow. Whereas when it's just like Southwest Airlines boarding, when we're building construction projects and we just push everybody on top of each other, there's so much chaos that it's really hard to even identify problems. So put things into a continuous process flow and bring problems to the surface. In fact, if anybody listening to this podcast knows anything about tact planning or graphical schedules, you'll know what I'm talking about. And by the way, if you ever want to learn about task planning or graphical schedules or line of effort schedules, please let me know because they are absolutely game changing. If I had my way, we would switch almost entirely to task planning to build our projects. So when you do a task plan, you'll split the interiors up as a representative example, but you'll split them up into sections of 10,000 square feet. And then you'll put them on a week or a 2 week or a three-week stagger, and you'll focus on the throughput of the entire system. And when you start to use that flow, that locked in schedule with a proper flow, proper stagger, proper durations of time, trade partners will say, this system isn't working yet. We have problems everywhere. And I'm like, no, 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 time out, guys. It is working because you see the problems more quickly and we can remove them more quickly. The system is working. Put everything into a flow. All right, principle 3. Use pull systems to avoid overproduction. In construction, it can be really hard to visualize this because it really doesn't visualize the same way as manufacturing. But the bottom line is, when you're in a flow, one contractor should pull another contractor into their area, should pull them into the area by moving their greenies, by sweeping the area, completing their work, finishing their inspections, and pull the other contractor into them, behind them, into a process flow so that the area is clear. There's a transition period there, right? There's a point of release and there's a handoff. And that system is absolutely remarkable. So we should use pull systems to avoid overproduction. And obviously that's visualized nicely with pull planning. Principle 4, level out the workload, work like the tortoise, not the hare. So if you hear our quotes that say clean and steady, I can promise people, and every time we go to finish a project, I say, if you can keep this project clean, if you can keep your workers working steady, if you can keep everyone in a flow, we will finish this project on time because you can see the problems, remove the problems, fix the problems, and continue your work. Whereas if you don't do that, if you descend into sheer chaos, you do not see the problems, you do not rise those to the surface. That takes us back to the quote that the only problem is when we don't have problems. Does that make sense? So level out the workload. Keep people working into a steady flow. Principle 5, build a culture of stopping to fix problems to get quality right the first time. We had a motto at BSRL specifically, in any project that I've ever been a part of since then, quality from the start. We build it right the first time. Pull the and on or push it or whatever you call it. Basically stop the work. Anybody on this project is empowered to stop the work. If you see a problem, we mess up a column, we're ripping it out. We install something wrong, we're taking it out. We're going to fix it now. I remember one time we messed up some walls because of a mix. And actually, the reason it was messed up is because nobody spoke up. I'll talk about that in a different podcast. But we we had to tear down the walls, and so I called a really good friend of mine, Weston, who's one of the best builders that I've ever met in my life. And he's like, "Tear it out, Jason. Let's go. Like, why are you waiting? Call the demo company. It should be out by Monday." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! Like, that's amazing. That's pretty fast." But he's right. If it's not right, let's get it. Let's set an example that we don't push defective work down the line. We don't push defective work to the owner. We don't wait. We don't like dawdle around. We get it out. We do it now. We act and we go. So build a culture of stopping to fix problems to get quality right the first time. Principle 6. Standardized tasks and processes are the foundation for continuous improvement and employee empowerment. So this is where I go back to our feature of work boards or our feature of work or our checklist, our quality checklist. I don't prefer the checklist because it's in written word, which not everybody likes, and most of the time it's hidden in some kind of technology that not everyone can reference. I like visual, 11 by 17, 18 by 24 feature of work boards with an outline of prescriptive and proscriptive requirements, pictures, visuals, graphics, examples of it done right, mock-ups. That's what it comes down to. Can you imagine if every crew, if every crew had standardized tasks and then they're like, wait a minute, let's tweak this, we can improve it because everyone's doing it the same way. What people don't realize is when they say, oh, I don't like standardization, I don't like everything being consistent, what they're saying is that they don't want to improve because the only way to improve is if you have a consistent, stable environment and you do things the same way, then everyone does it the same way and can help through Kaizen to make it better and improve the process in incremental steps. So, standardized tasks. Can you imagine if every crew had a feature of workboard for quality that outlined how we were supposed to do things and they improved from project to project? Imagine if the entire industry had databases for these things that in addition to submittals and RFIs that it was a requirement by our owners to do feature of workboards for the crew, for the workers, for the work installed. I really think that's what our industry needs to get to. Principle 7. Use visual controls so no problems are hidden. So when you use visual controls, I'm looking at site logistics plans. I'm looking at sequence drawings. I'm looking at roadblock maps. I'm looking at production trackers that show production visually. I'm talking about on your floors when you're looking at visual indicator systems for punch lists, visual indicator systems for quality. When you do in-wall inspections and you use color coding paint systems for in-wall inspections or for overhead inspections, visual systems that will point out visually to everybody where the problems are so no problems are hidden. Principle 8. Use only reliable, thoroughly tested technology that serves your people and process. I think it's funny because on one of the previous podcasts, I started mentioning softwares by name and criticizing the way that they do things so that hopefully that's a motivation that we can fix them. And I was like, I told Reno, my producer, I was like, hey, we need to take that out. I don't want to get sued, but like, hey, like, guys, like, please listen to me. I need you to hear me on this. Our software sucks. Like, it is garbage. Like, in construction, I don't know of a single technology system that does safety inspections quickly. I don't know of a single one that does quality inspections and checklists quickly. BIM 360 Field was the quickest one. And in fact, I actually really like that one to do punch lists. It's pretty quick. But even then, it's still too cumbersome. And hey, BIM 360 Field, don't sue me, Autodesk, because I'm beefing up your software. Just disclaimer here. So like that software is a model for how, like, let's get even closer than that because that's what we're supposed to be doing. But most of our project management softwares, like you go to do a safety inspection or a quality inspection or a daily report and you're like, oh my gosh, like I want to shoot myself. This is ridiculous. It takes forever. We in the construction industry have to make it simpler for our people. We need to make it as addictive as Facebook, as valuable and as informative as YouTube, and as quick as Wikipedia. We got to get this done, guys. We have to get this done. So use only reliable, thoroughly tested technology that serves your people and processes. And one more rant here because we've got to fix this, guys. Guys and gals, by the way, I get LinkedIn contacts all the time. Here's a new software. Here's a new technology. Here's a new application. New. And I'm like, what are we doing? Can we just find something that works with the basics that gets it done for our field crews instead of overwhelming the people that are out there trying to keep our people safe? Like, come on, let's do this. I feel like we're focused on the wrong things. We need to be teaching builders to be amazing, to know what they're doing, and to get the basics down first, and only to use reliable, thoroughly tested technology. Sorry for my rant. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, we have to be better than this. We need to fix the technology. So hopefully somebody reach out to me on these podcasts and criticize me and get mad enough to fix it. Like, we need to get this done. Principle 9, grow leaders who thoroughly understand the work, live the philosophy, and teach it to others. I could not agree with this more. This is absolutely fantastic. And this is why I focus so much on boot camp trainings and books and leaders reading books and leadership development and all of these wonderful things that build teams. And there are some people in our industry that are like, no, technical. Don't focus on the leadership. Don't focus on the soft skills. And I'm like, guys, you and gals, sorry, I have to get a better word, but we have to be teaching our people. We have to be teaching our people proper techniques, how to be managers, how to be leaders, how to go do these things, and how to be builders. If you look at an organization from bottom to top, this way, that way, sideways, whatever you want to look at, there are probably going to be leaders at every level that are missing key leadership skills, and we need to be teaching over and over and over the proper lean and leadership skills that our people need in construction to be successful. I remember a book, The Entree Leader by Dave Ramsey, and he talked about how he would spend time every week doing nothing but training his people. And this would sometimes go on for hours. But his model was, I'm not going to scale any farther unless everybody on my team is going to be trained and thinking in a good systematic way. We're doing it with standard stable systems, and I'm going to teach them and develop them. So let's go back to that. Grow leaders who thoroughly understand the work, live the philosophy, and teach it to others. I mentioned the Dave Ramsey book because in your organization, listening to this podcast, should you take an hour or 2 or 3 and just say, everybody, I'm going to pay for you to come in this room, and we're going to teach, train in an interesting way, reference back to one of my podcasts on how to do it interesting in an interesting way. I really think that that's the key. If I was a lead superintendent, I would go back to, on the project, having at least an hour training every week as a part of the team meetings. Okay, that's principle 9. Principle 10, I love this one. Develop exceptional people and teams who follow your company's philosophy. Okay, so this cannot be overstated. And if you're like, well, I would like to build my teams, but how? Hey, I'm going to give you the quick answer right now. The answer to everything: team leadership. Just go read all the Patrick Lencioni books. Like, if I wanted to be like a personal development coach in 2 months, all I would do, I would start my LLC and I would go read all of his books and I would do what he says to do in the books. Like, that's it. That's the secret to leadership and team building in construction. Patrick Lencioni. Like, that's it. He's even got a podcast. The guy's amazing. I think he was sent from heaven. So this is really simple. At every level, we need to be teaching our leaders, our managers, our exceptional people. We need to be building those teams, and we need to teach them to follow the company's philosophy, and we need to be having the hard conversations. We need to be coaching. We need to be having effective meetings. We need to develop those teams, entering the danger. On we go. I absolutely cannot overemphasize the fact that 9 and 10 deal with what a leader should be doing, and I would say almost all of what a leader should be doing. If you are a CEO, president of a company, you're an executive, stop doing the doing, guys. Like, you should be leading and developing people. You are the builder of people. You are the developer of teams. You spend all of your time with people. These are amazing concepts. Principle number 11, respect your extended network of partners and suppliers by challenging them and helping them to improve. I remember one time we tried this with door frames, and door frames always come out like in big batches. And I was like, no, it stops today. I want you to find me a door frame company that will get them out here just in time. And in Phoenix, we used ISEC, and they were like, they were jamming, ready to go. And they brought out door frames as we needed them, and it was amazing. Like, they didn't come out and bring them in connexes. They didn't come load all the floors. They didn't get damaged. We didn't have to tie them up to the metal studs because they were falling all over the place. They brought them just in time. And they did it probably at a little bit of an extra expense. I never asked. I feel bad on this podcast, but they did it because we asked. And if more contractors would ask, if every contractor would say, only bring out the duct by area, only bring out door frames as we need them, only do this just in time, follow a flow. If contractors would all do that, I promise you that the vendors would like tailor their customer service to do that. And so we all have to do that. So challenge your extended partners and suppliers by challenging them and helping them to improve and learn lean concepts. Do trainings. I remember at BSRL, we had everybody watch the 90-minute lean core training if you were on the project, and they understood it. They got it and they bought in. It was absolutely amazing. Okay, number 12, Go and see for yourself to thoroughly understand the situation. Now, I do realize that in proper project management and in lean, you have to have numbers, you have to have data, and you got to get off your butt and go out into the field and see what's actually going on. You have to be an instinctively attuned builder. You have to observe, you have to be there, you have to see what's going on. You cannot lead by numbers. So, just real quick, I'm going to ruffle your feathers a little bit, but I know you love me. No big deal. Hey, if you are looking at too many reports and you're not getting out to the project sites, then we need to get you out there. We need to hook you up with some nice boots. We need to love you up, get you used to the heat, nice pair of safety glasses. Let's go and see for ourselves in the field what's going on. That's where the concepts of field walks go. Safety presence in the field, being present at the situation, being an instinctive builder, having a place where you can overlook the project. Okay. Principle 13. Make decisions slowly by consensus, thoroughly considering all options. Implement those decisions rapidly. I love this concept because it brings your introverts and your extroverts together. It gives you time to think. It makes sure that the team has time to discuss things. And you think about these options and you make sure it's sustainable and you make sure the solution is tested and you make sure the solution is actually addressing a problem, right? But then once the team decides, you act quickly. I know there are people that we have worked with me and they're like, man, this is too quick. Like, we need to go. And I'm like, no, like, we've decided, let's go. We can have this done tomorrow. And that's the thing for us on our project sites. If you're a superintendent, field engineer, project manager, project director, you can get some stuff done quickly. Have you ever heard those people that are like, whatever you start doing, you need to finish doing? Whatever you set up doing, you can't change. You can't implement halfway through the project. I'm like, well, you better not be on a job with me because that ain't going to be how it's going to go. Like, we're going to fix problems immediately. And if we and the trade partners and contractually it works and the team decides we're going to go implement that, like, some people are like, you can't implement zero tolerance halfway through. You can't have the trades do cleanliness halfway through, or you can't implement quality halfway through. But the heck you can't. Like, absolutely. Like, I'll show up and show you how to do it. Pay me a reasonable fee. Like, let's go. I'll come to your job site. Now, it ain't easy and it's not a lot of fun. And sometimes there might be financial ramifications if you didn't buy it out that way, but absolutely you can change and you can implement quickly. You want huddle systems? Go get it done. You want planning boards? Go get it done. You want cleaning stations on your site? Go get it done. You want a delivery software? Go get it done. You want to start your texting systems for safety? Go get it done. Like, let's do this. Like, it can take just like 1 or 2 days and we're there. You can implement quickly. I love number 13. Number 14. Become a learning organization through relentless reflection and continuous improvement. There are some really neat IPD books that I think I'll share here in the future, but they have some really neat ideas. Plus deltas at the end of a meeting, that's reflection. Reflections in the team meetings, that's reflection. Root causes for quality or safety, that's reflection. Reflection walks, that's reflection. Asking the trade partners what they would do better at the end of a phase, that's reflection. Finishing a project and figuring out what we would do on the next one for pre-con, that's reflection. Walking somebody else's job, taking and giving advice, that's reflection. So become a learning organization through relentless reflection and continuous improvement. So those are the 14 principles and some examples of how they tie to construction. So here's the current state, guys and gals. Companies discount training. They batch things. They say things like, why is this area empty? And they dispatch workers there, even if it's not needed for the flow. They push workers on top of each other. They hide problems. They are always worried about what corporate's going to think and they fake the numbers. They overburden the workforce. They leave problems and ask for forgiveness from the owner, from designers. They use new and inappropriate technologies that quite frankly don't work and overburden our teams. They don't grow their people through coaching. They're afraid to coach. They won't speak up. They don't build teams through healthy conflict. They use reports instead of observing what's really happening. I mean, these bad behaviors are institutionalized and are in this industry, and we have to stop it. It's gone. Those days are over. Our cheese has been moved, and we need to get through that maze and find where it's been moved. And I guarantee you, lean is not going away. It works wherever we try it. So here's the solution. apply all these concepts to your work and your way of thinking. Here's 3 examples. So when we talk about flow, implement tact planning to create flow and bring problems to the surface. When we talk about stopping to fix problems, try quality at the source. Enable your workforce to identify problems and stop the work and repair those immediately instead of pushing those down to the customer, right? Also, number 3, and this is my third example, use training as a strategy. Use training as a strategy and build the teams as your first priority. Do that on your projects with your trade partners, with the designers, with the owner as your first priority, instead of just going out there and getting to work like we're in manufacturing. So here's an invitation. Read the Toyota Way. Become familiar with these. Post these somewhere in the trailer. I would actually just encourage you to print these out on 11 by 17, laminate them and hang them from the ceiling like I did. Like they will absolutely change the entire game that we're playing here if we adopt them. And the other day I was going through some of the podcasts and I'm like, so just real quick for that. So I've got like thousands of podcast topics that are like super interesting, and I've got them on my Apple Notes, and I'm just like drooling at the opportunity to get these things recorded and out, and I just love it. And you can see a theme in the things that I say. You'll always hear me say clean. You'll always hear me say organized. You'll always hear me say respect for people. You'll always hear me talk about flow, and I'm like, I wonder if I'm ruining the listener experience by always saying these things. But then I thought to myself, when preparing for this podcast, they all come from the original 14 principles of the Toyota Way. They're all adaptations of that for construction. It's amazing. And from those 14, you can end up with thousands and thousands and thousands of interesting and good podcast topics or topics for you for training for your company. And the books that we're writing now for superintendents, field engineers, and workers are just flooded with thousands and thousands of concepts that all stem from those 14. So my recommendation would be read the book, become familiar, memorize them if you can, and use them as a basis for your decision making. So here are some tips and tricks. Teach it over and over again. Make sure you're teaching your team, teach your people, teach your trade partners, teach everyone. Teach for understanding. Don't just say it. Don't just check the box. Make sure that people understand. Ask questions. Ask them how they're going to implement. Ask them what their plan is. Adapt all of these concepts to your circumstances. Don't become Toyota. Become you. Become a better version of you. Become an effective version of you. Become a happy version for you. When I started implementing these lean concepts, the biggest difference for me was I was happier. I'm able to go home on time. And here's just like, let me just brag a little bit. I don't like doing this because it shows poorly on me, but I don't have to work a lot to get a lot done. People tell me all the time, you do the work of like 1 or 2 people or 3 people, or I don't know how much you do. And I'm like, well, I'm glad they don't see me all day because most of the time I get in at a reasonable hour and I leave at like 5 or 5:30. And I don't ever work weekends and I get a bunch done because these principles will give you so much effectiveness, will leverage your talents, will enable you to delegate, will get things done properly. It will reduce so much waste that you won't have to deal with that waste in working extra time. The biggest thing that I've learned from Lean is that you can live a remarkable life. I remember one of the big wigs at the university down at the project said, when I come to your job, it's like coming to Disneyland. There's just magic everywhere. And that's it. That's Lean. That's these principles. That's leveraging the group. That's working as a team. That's doing things right. That's reducing and eliminating waste. That's being effective. That's taking pride in your work. It's absolutely amazing. I should shut up so that this thing can go a little bit quicker. So let me close out. Please message me on LinkedIn if you want to do an interview, or if you have a podcast topic that you'd like to request, or if you have a question or you want to criticize me or whatever you want. I'm in for all of it, team. Like, I want everything. My goal is I want this entire industry from coast to coast to change, to be remarkable, to bring you joy, to be leveled out, to be happy, to reduce crash landings, to get rid of the imbalance with families, to reduce or eliminate divorces in construction, to just make sure everyone's respected. Workers are taken care of. Workers' bodies are taken care of. Everyone's trained and educated. And we've got people that realize that they can come make so much money and be so fulfilled in this industry, and they don't have to, although it's a good thing, but they don't have to go to college and go into one of the professions and do something like that. They can come out and build and get in the mud with us and have a great time because it's respectful and wonderful and it's a great environment. So that's the message. I hope this has been helpful. I hope that you love and learn these principles and that they change your life like they did me. And I hope you take the invitation to read that book. But until then, I really, really do hope that you find the new standard in construction. You find your way. You become okay with change and that you find your cheese like I talked about in the beginning. Until then, on we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.